Hello to all the comic fans, Marvel geeks, and all the nerds in between. Welcome to another episode of the Vigilante Vibes podcast, where we talk all things Marvel, along with the other fandoms, but without the toxicity that's taken up way too much space in each and every fandom. I'm your host, Meg Nicole, and I have two very special guests. Joining me, I have Chris, the legendary Longbox Punk, and his partner in crime in this comic creating world, Chris, the punk rocker and comic book artist.
Thanks for having us, Megan. I'm stoked.
Thanks for having us.
I've talked to Longbox Punk Chris many times, but Chris, we never actually interacted other than online. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me about both of you? We'll start with you, Longbox Punk Chris.
I'm never one that's short for words. So I've been hosting Longbox Punk for over a year now, talking to indie creators, and honestly, I started it to learn how to make comics so that eventually at some point in the far distant future, I would be able to make my own comics. And that happened a lot faster than I expected. When Chris reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm trying to put myself out there more. I want to get more involved with making comics. I do art. You've talked about having ideas. You want to make a comic? And I was like, word vomit. Absolutely. And that was November 3rd. I looked it up because I had to put in a birth date for our new email. So I was like,
oh nice.
November 3rd of last year. Sweet. So we've been talking. We've done several FaceTimes at this point. We've got shared documents. We've got long text threads. We have social media long message threads as well. And we've been creating several, actually, comics since then. But we're finally in a spot where we're ready to be launching our very first, the flagship title, as it were. It's called Barricade Brigade. And we're launching an Ashcan first, so issue 0. Launches on Kickstarter June 4th. It's going to run for 30 days. And it's about a punk rock band that tries to defend their home turf and their music venue from the big corporate villains that are trying to buy it and change it into a parking lot. But in defending their turf, they realize that they may have bitten off more than they could handle or more than they expected. So we're keeping some stuff under wraps that we haven't told anybody about. Because we don't want to be the trailers that give away everything. So
like
you just have to back it to find out. So,
yeah.
Well, moving on to Chris with a K. Let's hear about you.
Well, I started drawing as a little bitty kid, and for the longest time was not drawing. I found comics maybe like 3 years before I found punk rock, and those two worlds overlapped then. I had a long gap with no comics and wanted back in, and finally just jumped in and spent hours with my wife in the parking lot, unfortunately, at my local comic shop. And yeah, so that was the start of me getting back into it, and drawing is something that came back to me post back injury and has really kind of given me a second wind on expressing myself.
Aw, that sucks about the back injury, but I love that you've thrown yourself into it. And you could have picked a better partner than Chris. Like, this is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember his name every time, too.
I won't lie. All day, I was like, how am I going to talk to two Chris's? How is that going to work? And we're just going to see what happens. Because now it's chaotic and I like it.
Yeah.
So, where did the inspiration come from for your comic book? Like, what the idea of it?
Do you want that, Kay, or you want me to take it?
Honestly, I think it was kind of that both of us are punk rockers and have been in that scene for so long, and have, you end up with seeing the tropes of like the man's taking us down, and that, but like you could really take that somewhere, and that's really kind of where it started when we were trying to figure out what kind of toys we wanted to build to play with.
I like that.
It definitely came from a like, okay, well, we're both, aging punks at this point. it needs to be something about punks that are taking a stand against a big corporation because they're the villains in every scenario. And if I learned nothing else from Scooby-Doo, it's that humans are the monsters. And so we kind of took that idea, and then we started, that was the starting point. And then it just started like, oh, what if we did this? What if the band did that? What if we had, and slowly but surely we were writing all these things down. And then it just kind of was like, I think we have enough that we can distill a story here. And so we took the notes that we had put together, and I started scripting stuff. And, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to sit in a vacuum and write, and then I'm going to send it to him, and then he's going to draw everything in a vacuum, and then we're going to have a comic. It was very much like, okay, so here's where I'm at. What do you think? Like, what if we did this? How is this right? Is that too much? And so it's very much like we're not doing a writer artist in the credits. We're just doing co-creators, because it's as much like there's no way to delineate where what I started or what he started or he finished, or there's no way to tell. It's just a big smashed, like, it's both of us in a comic. And it's been like, for my first experience, I couldn't have asked for a better collaborator, and we've definitely got more plans for more books going forward together, because it's been so much fun.
Aw, that's so nice. I love that co-creators. Yeah. I'm excited to read it, because I want to read it and be like, oh, there's Chris with a C. I see his personality bleeding through in this area. I love that so much. So you said you have more books prepared. Are you saying you have more books of this series, or you're already having other ideas circulate in your head for other books?
Yes.
Okay.
That's hilarious. That's how I wanted to answer that. That is the answer.
Yeah, this is the story that and the world that we've spent the most time on, because I think we both wanted to start with a very loud DIY punk mindset and voice in comics first, and then, like, we've talked about other spin-off stories. We worked on a short that I submitted to an anthology that didn't happen, but there might be something there that we turn into eventually. And so it's like, this was definitely the first, and we were very intentional with, just because it's the Ash Can, we don't want this to be like here's the first 8 pages of a story. Come back when we're ready to launch issue 1 and find out what happens. Like, it's a self-contained story, but it also introduces you to, like, who the band is, what they're about, what's the larger story that's going to be happening as this one unfolds. So we've definitely got, I think I was already thinking of, like, the second chapter that we're going to be doing the other night as I was working on the Kickstarter page for the Ash Can, because I was like, ooh, okay, so once we hit this thing, then we're going to go into that thing, and that could lead us down to the road, and we could do this. And then I was like, wait a second, Chris, check this out. This is what I just thought of. And he was like, yeah, no, can we do the Ash Can, though? Like, just slow down. So that's where we're at.
So Chris with a K, he already has so many ideas circulating in his little punk head right there. Would you want to see it all in one universe, or would you like it to see it in different things completely not related to each other at all?
Ooh. When it comes to this band, I think we keep it all within one universe.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got so many stories that are not even connected that we've back and forth on already, that there's, God, I hate to say it, a multiverse out there between us.
How Marvel of you.
I know, right?
Yeah. And I just want to point out, I'm wearing a Magneto hat. I have my Skrull Invasion shirt. I was like, I got to go all Marvel if I'm going to be showing on this show. So purely for you, Megan.
Thank you. It always cracks me up when someone comes on the show and they're like, I wore Marvel for you. And I look down, I'm like, I'm wearing my gym shirt. I'm sorry. So I tried to make it an effort today, because I was like, this is a big episode. I've been looking forward to this for at least 6 days. Since you reached out.
Days.
So besides the comics you've already created, do you have any other ideas that you ever want to explore? Like, would you ever do like a podcast that kind of acts out the characters in your book, or like a certain line of merch, like guitar picks or something?
It's
That's
funny you mentioned guitar picks. Chris, tell her about the guitar picks.
yeah. We've actually been looking at doing custom picks already, and I also build guitar pedals. So for our next launch, we're talking about doing a custom guitar pedal.
Do you just do everything?
Right?
Like,
Uh,
he's making a comic. He's just sitting there like so debonair. He does not a care in the world. He's like, I also build guitars on the side. It's
I
whatever.
do. My phone is actually propped on my first guitar that I've built. Um, I built my amp. I've built pretty much all the pedals that I have on my pedal board. Like, yeah, I do. I do a lot of things.
I see that. You really are like a punk rocker to your bones.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much.
Mm-hmm. Very DIY. Yeah,
I
it's
love
funny.
it.
Like when we, after like the first 2 months that we were collaborating and texting a lot and stuff like that, he sent me something like, "Oh, I saw this on Instagram today. Check this out." And I was like, "Yeah, I saw that on Instagram today too." And he was like, "Does Instagram think we're the same person because we're both named Chris and we're both punk rock centric?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know, but like, did you dig that ad?" He was like, "Yeah, I did. I think it's really cool." And I was like, "Me too." And so now we just like have this running joke where it even happened earlier, where we were texting. I don't even remember what we were texting, but you said like word for word what like we were texting at the same time and
Hmm.
sent them very like simultaneously, and it was word for word the exact same thing. And it was like, "Yep, same brain. Okay,
Yep.
cool."
It's a Chris thing. We just
It
would
is.
us normies wouldn't understand. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. So sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. It's hard seeing people live out your dreams, but it's okay. Um, so do you two live anywhere near each other?
No.
No,
Not even
it's how it
close.
always goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
I'm
we
in
I mean, at least
Oklahoma.
we're
planning?
both in the States, you know?
Yeah, we're both in the
There's
States.
that.
I'm in Oklahoma and other Chris is in Ohio. So
Yep.
we got O
Yeah.
states at least.
Right.
That
Two
yeah.
Chris's, two O states, same brain, both glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to plan a meet with each other so you can go to cons for the comic book at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that
I
I
may
don't.
have already said to my wife, I was like, "Listen, when we launch the first full chapter, like I need to make it down to Oklahoma and like hit a con there, you know, go down to like Dallas or Fort Worth or somewhere in the massive gigantic state of Texas and like hit a con down there because it feels like Texas always has a convention happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like I've already planted that seed of like I'm going to be making a trip because the first full chapter, like that's the other thing that we're doing that's kind of unique is we're not doing individual floppies for the next iteration of the like the first arc or whatever. We're just doing one self-contained like square perfect bound graphic novel release. So it'll
Okay.
be like we don't have a page count, but it'll at least be like 60 pages. And it'll just be another full self-contained story so that you can like anybody can come in at any point for any of our future stories or campaigns and they can back it and they don't have to worry about the like, oh, back the backup tier for our fourth chapter and buy all four chapters and the ash can for $900. Like, no,
Yeah.
you can come in at any point and pick it up at any time and fully understand what's going on with the story. It would help if you jump in early, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah, that and it's all like very much by design. We're keeping the goal super low. Like we set the goal at like $600 because I I had the awkward text at like 11:30 one night of, "Hey, I don't plan on making money with this. Are we same brain right now?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, totally, yeah. We're just making the book because I want to hold the book in my hands." I was like, "Cool, cool, cool. Okay, yeah, no, yeah, totally,
Yep.
yeah, same." So
See, I
yeah,
think that's super healthy though, because everyone, not everyone, but most people get into the comic book creating business and they're like, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be rich, I'm making all these comics. And
yeah,
it's like once you start to try to monetize and that's your goal, I feel like you do lose some of the passion for what you're doing. It's like with podcasting.
yep,
I don't think I'm ever going to make money. I'm just doing it because I like it. But
yeah,
there are people who only do it to make money. And it's like, you're just kind of sucking your soul away with that.
yeah, yeah. You're chasing a goal that is really never gonna happen. So set a realistic goal. Have fun every episode. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. And how many people can say that they created a comic book? Do you know how crazy that is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you did it. You started November. Like, what is going on? It's
So
not even June.
I brought props. So
Oh,
the first time that I got, this is our main cover that Chris did.
very
This is
cool.
his pencil version. I'm going to be inking this on my Instagram live because I'm doing a punkified version that'll look kind of like this. Quick little glance.
Ooh.
But first time that like my wife printed this out at her job and brought it home because the library can't print that large. Apparently, and neither can FedEx or UPS store, whatever.
Which
Not that I'm salty. They gave me a half sheet. I was like, that's not
That's-
11 by 17.
But that's where I would go. Is no,
Right?
no, never mind, never mind. Whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Don't
So
go to the place that says they print.
I sent it to my wife, and she printed it out at work and brought it home. But like seeing her carrying this in, and then having this like in my hands, I'm like, these characters came out of my brain. Like that's insane. And I just like every step, every time he sends me a new panel or a new page of pencils and then inks and then colored and then full and done, and it's like, this is the coolest freaking thing I've ever done. And it just like you can't describe that feeling to someone that's not like creative by nature, because they're like, yeah, cool, you made a thing. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
they're like,
I
oh,
made
he drew a
thing."
picture, and you're like,
Yeah.
you don't get it.
Right. But yeah, it's been really, really awesome just like having all this stuff come together and seeing it. And even as we were writing it, I was like, yeah, we're writing a comic. And then it was like, oh my God, we're writing dude, we're making like regularly we'll have just brief freak out sessions of like sending just hype overload gifts back and forth. Like, we're doing the thing. So it's exciting stuff. I love it.
It is really exciting because when I first met you, you were reading comics. You're all about comics. Now you are the comics. You are the ones creating it. Like, you're in the industry now. And congratulations to both of you.
Thanks. Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
not getting chills over here.
Yeah. It's not weird to hear other people say these things at all.
Totally normal. This
Yeah.
is our life now. Yeah. Yeah.
You're kind of a big deal now, so you might as well get used to it.
I don't know about all that.
I'd say so. This is exciting. This is amazing. Even if it goes absolutely nowhere and it's just for you guys, you still made something.
That's
How
right.
many people can say that? And you did it with someone you genuinely like, so you made a great friendship on the way. And it's like your passion has always been comics, so you're going as far as you can in that passion in that field. So you're achieving something, even if no one in the world is interested. You still achieve something.
Hang my hat on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's almost like the journey's the more important thing than the destination. That's
It's all about the friends we met along the way.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the quote. I don't know actually. I don't even know what that's from. I just say it
gonna
sometimes.
say like insert a deep quote here from me. You two nailed it. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So have you guys always wanted to make comics, or did it just happen? Was it just like, why not? We don't have anything going on.
You want this one first? You want me to take it?
Honestly,
I wanna hear you
yeah.
first.
I remember drawing my first comics were probably drawn on my paper bag book covers like in middle school. Like I had these dumb little characters that I would make up and I would just change my book covers so I could draw new things that they were doing. It was so it's been a long time. That's I I don't want to talk about how many decades that is, but it's been a few.
It has to at least have been two. I mean, you're only like 28, so I mean, Let's not brag
Yes.
here.
Wow.
Yes.
Whatever.
I'll go with
Wow.
that.
What about you, Chris, with a C?
I I don't know that I always wanted to make them. Like because it never even occurred to me that I could.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, it was just like, oh yeah, these are things that like professionals make, and I just enjoy them, and so I'll buy them and read them, and so it never it genuinely never occurred to me that I could make comics until the last 10 years when I really started. Like I was reading the big two, and I was just like, I'm gonna go to like Valiant and Image because I loved those as a kid, and so I was reading those, and at first I was like, yeah, I read indie comics. I'm like, no, those are still like big companies that are doing things. Valiant doesn't always make great decisions, but I still love them.
It's like when you read Image, you're like, I'm just so street level cool. I read indies, and you guys are just not on my level. Stick to
Yeah,
Marvel, and you're like,
yeah,
it's Image though. It's like the most Marvel-y DC
yeah,
indie comic place ever. So like,
Yep.
calm down.
yeah, yeah. Listen, Bat Bro, I read the indies. And he's like, you're reading Image? Like, seriously? The guys that started that used to work at DC and Marvel.
Most of the writers do. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
like
yeah.
Kyle Higgins makes Batman.
It's just been like, as I've gotten more into indie comics and like further from even Image and Valiant and Dark Horse and Boom, and getting into smaller publishers, and then like a guy that I went to college is an editor for one of those small publishers, and it was just like, well, hang on, if he's working, I sat next to him in like Psych 101, what, and he's making comics, why can't I? And then suddenly it was like, okay, at some point I want to make comics. Yeah. Okay. And then, I started doing Long Box Punk, and it was just like talking to all these creators that were doing it in the true indie scene. And it was like, oh, I'm taking myself to school. Like, I'm just learning from people that have done it, how they did it. So I need to take notes. And so I've been taking notes and learning as much as I can and building those relationships. And as I've been putting the Kickstarter together, I'm still like, okay, I have no idea how this works. What is this thing talking about? Like, I'm still trying to figure out shipping, and it's this big scary monster because I haven't figured it out yet. But I've got messages out to people to learn. But yeah, it was never a thing. And then once I figured out that it could be a thing, suddenly I was like, I need to chase that down and do everything I can, because I'm an all or nothing faucet person, and like, you could have the faucet all the way on for me. And so once it was like, I want to make comics, it was all the way on. And my wife every night is like, you talking to Oklahoma? I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you guys ever sleep? I'm like, no,
Not really.
no.
It's kind of a problem.
Yeah. I was up till like 2 a.m. last night working on the page and working on like a flyer that we want to put out. It was just like,
Which
whatever.
looks super sick, by the way.
I mean, I don't have a saved version to show it off to you, Megan, but I'll send it to you after.
Yes,
you're
please.
on it, actually. So,
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is an achievement for me.
In true punk fashion, we're
Yeah.
taking Barricade Brigade on tour. And so we're hitting, all the podcasts that we're doing. Yeah. We're doing the date that it's publishing and the podcast that we're appearing on. And I got hyper focused last night and spent 3 hours building this single graphic. And then my computer crashed and I lost all of it. And I rebuilt it this morning.
Set the house on fire at that point. I'm out.
I did. I was just like, fine, slam. I'm going to bed.
I love that you said that you were going on tour, because that's really that's what you do. You collaborate, you get the name out there, and plus, like, this sounds really, really cool. Like, more people should know about it. But I'm excited to see the flyer that did happen. We did get a flyer. Okay.
It did happen. Yeah, I before I did anything, once I got it to where I was happy with it this morning, I immediately downloaded it and sent it off. Because usually I like to create something and I'll take a step away and do something else for a palate cleanser and then come back to it. And usually I find something else and I'm like, I should change that. And so I had done that. And when I came back to it, it was like error loading images. And it like completely, it saved like 2 items of the like 14 that I had in it. And that's where I was like, I'm not doing all that again. Nope, it's too late.
Sometimes when my computer starts to do that, I'll screenshot it with my computer.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case. I've lost so many things.
Yeah.
I've almost committed felonies over it, but that's neither here nor there. So,
the plight of creators.
Well, I mean, some people do drugs and stuff. We're just trying to make flyers and stuff. It's fine. YouTube thumbnails. So, what do you think has been the most challenging part of it? And I will start with you, Chris, with a K.
Oh, man.
You don't get out of these questions.
I know.
Chris does a lot of talking, but we want to hear you too.
That's understandable. Honestly, I think for me the hardest part was figuring out like these are our toys. The band is our toys. What's the sandbox that they're in, and how comfortable am I with sharing my thoughts on that sandbox while we're learning how to play together? So it was really the very beginning. Once we got past that hump, it's been very comfortable.
Wow. Okay, so it's diving in and trying to look around to see which way to go using what tools. Okay.
Yes.
What about you, Chris, with a C?
Copy paste. Same thing, like figuring out it. Honestly, I guess I can change it to like the logistics of making comics. Like you hear about, there's a writer and an artist and a letterer and editor sometimes and color, flatter, all these things that make a comic. When there's 2 people doing it, it's like, we're doing everything. And then it's like, well, we can't just make it. Like, we got to find a vendor to print, and we got to find someone that can do printing that's like cost effective, that's also here in the States to avoid the overseas costs. And like, then suddenly, I have to put my corporate hat on because I do work at a bank. And like, I have to put that hat on to think like, okay, how logistically, like, what's the ROI here? Like, how much can we spend without like completely losing ourselves, but also being able to recoup that money? Like, what's the price point? Because we want to keep things cheap because we're broke punks. Like, no one has money.
No.
So like we're buying groceries, right? Like,
yeah.
Who can afford a $15 comic when eggs are $17? Like, no, priorities. So
Preach.
We wanted to be intentional with all of that, but it's the logistics of figuring all that stuff out. And because Chris with a K is doing all of the artwork and the lettering and the coloring, I'm like, well, I wrote the thing, so what else do I do? And so I'm doing all the logistics stuff. Which honestly, like, our different skill sets balance each other really well, because I love figuring out logistics stuff and doing the reaching out for podcast appearances and setting up the Kickstarter and because my degree is in broadcasting, so like I've done the promo stuff for big radio stations, for bands, for concerts. I've put those together. Like, I've done all of this stuff already. So for me, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I can just pick that hat back up and put it right back on, and it's no big deal. And then he can focus fully on doing the artwork and making the pages look way better than I ever could have tried to intend them when I wrote the script. And like, it works out really well. But the logistics and like figuring out the stuff, like, it has to be printed in iterations of 4. So like, okay, well, how do we get to an even page count that can be printed, and how do we fill the other like things like that you just never would think of, suddenly we're thinking about all the time. And
I've never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm never making a comic. This sounds exhausting.
It definitely is a labor of love, and
I'm sure.
it's a reoccurring theme with a lot of indie creators. Like, yeah, I'm burning the midnight oil doing this, but like, this is what it feels like to be energized by work, is making this comic. And I think I texted you last night or 2 nights ago, like, how do people feel this way about their regular jobs? Like, there's no way.
Yeah, no, not possible. Not possible.
Yeah.
My husband feels that way about his regular job. Like, he's a plumber,
mean,
so whenever we go to like a Lowe's or something, he's like, this is so fun. I'm like,
look at that
what?
U-joint, babe. Look at it.
So he's like a master plumber, so he does all the big things, like
Okay.
repiping houses and like huge water heaters, all that. And he's
Yeah.
like, it's like a big puzzle. I'm like, you call me a nerd. Like, calm down.
I can
Relax.
relate to him. My day job I'm an engineer for the gas
Okay.
company. So essentially I work with plumbers all the time, and it's like a puzzle. It's like Legos.
Yeah.
It's super easy to nerd out on. Your husband likes playing with Legos. That's what he likes.
He likes the
That's it.
tools too. He's like, we'll just be driving. He's like, Milwaukee really is the best tool brand. I'm like, just shut the fuck up. I'm not doing this today.
I was really thinking about it, and I hope these tariffs don't impact the incoming German engineered tools, because they're just made differently. You know what I mean?
If I have to hear any more of it, like, he's so involved that he knows the Milwaukee salesman so well that when my kids were born, one of them sent them all these baby clothes with Milwaukee on it. And it said, like, it was a onesie that was Milwaukee that said heavy duty on the butt. And I was like, who are these people? What is this world?
That's fantastic. Oh my God.
It's like, that's a whole world that I just don't understand. But, like, I guess that's the passion. I've never felt that for, like, my past jobs. But, like, okay. So it's cool to see you guys still have that passion, even going through all of the stuff, the logistics, the drawing. All of it sounds exhausting. I have to be honest with you. So, like, I'm really excited for you guys.
So, and some of it is, but
But if
it's
you're
always
passionate
like,
about it, it's so worth it, though.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Yes.
like, like you said, a labor of love. But for someone like me, I'm never writing a comic. I will never do that. Not
Don't
one
say
part of me
never.
wants to.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Can't say never in this industry.
I don't want to. All of my
then-
ideas are like, just no. No, the world doesn't need to see it. It's not okay. But I like
Is it
reading
like
others.
Red Band Edition? Are we talking Red Band Edition
It
ideas?
depends on the day. Like today, it would have been really violent.
That's okay.
I like to
yesterday-
draw that stuff, so
Yeah.
Well, like yesterday, it would have been like princesses and my daughters spinning in a circle singing Trolls soundtrack. Tomorrow, it'll probably be like me murdering someone again. I don't know.
Perfect. Yeah,
But it's
I
like, I
have
don't wanna
several
see it.
comics where people get murdered, so
Mhm.
I'm just.
You do like the indie stuff and not just an image.
yeah.
Fair. Yep.
So when you were talking about the storyline of it, was there any tropes? We know the tropes. We all know it, that we kind of roll our eyes at, that you thought, I don't want that. I do not like that.
Yes. I couldn't tell you what they are, but I do remember one of the FaceTimes that we did of like, we can't fall into this. Like we can't go there. So what if we did this instead? And then I was like, yeah, okay, all right. And it was just a quick, because I mean we both have years and years of reading comics, and I don't want to just be making something else that's going to
Yeah.
be there that's like, oh yeah, hey, cool, here's a whole box of the same Rob Liefeld books from Image in 1993. Like, woo!
That's not specific.
That's not at all, right? Like, it's, I don't,
So
I don't
now
wanna,
we know the trope was from Layfield, and I get it. He annoys me too. That's
Listen, we have
Yeah.
feet on our cover, okay? So look at all those feet.
You're
Look at them.
literally already
Their
doing better.
shoes. So we're
You're-
not.
Look, and I saw chest. It was very, very just proportionate. It was just very proportionate.
Yeah.
And it's like you're already doing better than some people.
Chris knows anatomy. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the I loved the 90s X-Men, but pointy feet and
Oh my God. Yeah.
that was one of the big ones, yeah. Pointy feet was not happening. I could not no.
They're
And
coming back
like
with it. They did it. I read one today that was like, come on. They look like
no.
ballet shoes. What are we doing? I don't like anime. So when it gets too anime, I'm like, oh my God. My fight or flight turns on and it's just like,
got it. Got it. So no
Oh,
manga
that's
for
funny.
Megan.
Yeah.
oh, it's just, so I get the pointy feet thing. It's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a pretty easy one to just stay away from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the other one, like, I don't want to do the traditional hero's journey because it's literally in everything. Like, I wish I never learned about the hero's journey because now that's like I'm a formula person, and once I understand the formula, that's all I see. And like, oh yeah, you like this movie? Check it out. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh, you suck. And it's like, yeah, we can do the pieces in literally anything. It's all there. And so I don't I don't want to do that trope, even though it's like fundamental storytelling. I really am trying to not do that. So I think we're trying to be more unconventional with the way that we tell the story so that it doesn't feel the formulaic, like, oh yeah, here's the person and here's the conflict and here's the challenge and here's the bad person and here's the resolution. We're trying to keep the reader on their toes by not following that thing, to give hopefully a comic that sparks interest and gets people talking.
Plus, you can, I mean, you're starting from like in the middle of their lives, probably. You're not, it's not like an origin story. So you
Yeah.
can work with so much more when you do that. So I love that because I am sick of this is where I started. This is where Spider Man got his powers. This is what happened to Uncle Ben. You know, we all know. We get it.
Yeah.
We want new, and it sounds like you guys are going to give us exactly that.
It's
Yeah.
the hope.
So, if you could describe this comic in 3 words, both of you, what would you use? And you can't use the word punk or rock.
Oh, come on, Megan.
Hard level.
Man. I was gonna totally say punk rock comic.
I know you were. Chris. I was like, he's going to say it's punk rock.
Yeah. That's even better. It's punk rock. Like
Yeah, I was like, you got to set a limit for these guys. It doesn't have to be a sentence or anything, just 3 words that you think
Yeah.
describe it well.
Yeah, well, I'm an overachiever, and I want the 3 words to make sense together.
Chris with a K, are you an overachiever?
Go to K.
man. Kind of, yeah. I think I'll use loud as my first word.
Loud's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Ooh, can we mix and match words? Can I make him go next? Ooh.
That sounds fun.
Then we get 6 words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said
monstrous?
Monstrous. Loud,
Yeah.
monstrous. Back on you, bud.
Surprising.
Surprising. That's a good one. So loud, monstrous, surprising.
Energetic.
This is a fun game. I'm going to do this with everyone.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Glad to be a guinea pig.
This worked out well.
Ooh, I could throw this in there and it will only make sense to people that back it. Historical.
Ooh. Mine, this is more because we've done all the backstory stuff, but representational.
Aw.
Yes.
So we have loud, monstrous, representational, historical,
energetic,
and what was yours, Chris, with a K?
Oh, God. I forgot.
Too.
That's
Surprising.
bad. I'm
Surprising.
forgettable.
Surprising.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we
Surprising.
got all 6. All right, that's nice. So I 100% plan on reviewing this comic because I feel like I deserve it. So I will be
Mm-hmm.
doing just that.
Snap. The same person that reviewed Phoenix. This is not good.
I just want you to know that I'm like published by Marvel.
I
So
know.
like,
Like,
and I'm doing this for free.
kind of a big deal.
I have to do it for the loud, monstrous, energetic. I'm not going through them all again. I can't do
Oh,
it. I don't
come
have it in me.
on.
It's like 7.
Surprising.
Surprising. None of us
Mm-hmm.
remember. That's okay.
No, I wrote mine
Yeah.
down.
No, you didn't. Oh my
He's
Yeah,
the
gosh.
note taking us note
yeah,
taker. It's
I
so sweet.
did.
You did. That's so nice.
I know how my memory is, and it's not great. So if I don't write it down, I'll forget.
I
And
will
if I write
remember
it down,
it
it has
when I
weight
go to
behind it.
bed tonight.
Yeah.
When I'm falling asleep, and I'll be like, representational. And that'll
That
be stuck there.
that
Yeah.
was it. That was
Yeah.
That was the one. Yeah.
That was the one.
Yeah. So, speaking of, I'm going to take that word because it's something that I want to talk about. Is
Yes, please.
when we were coming up with the story, I was like, it's super important to me to have like my family heritage. I've been doing a lot of like whatever that word is for
Ancestry.com and all that.
that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
genealogy. Is that
my
the word you're looking for?
That's the
That's
thank you.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, same brain.
Nice.
I've been looking a lot at my family's genealogy, and genealogy. That's a 5-syllabler. All right.
Look at you.
Well, representation. No, hey, I beat you with 6. Um, I've been looking at my family's genealogy because it was always kind of like a throwaway comment of like, yeah, well, I have Native American in me, so like I don't burn in the summer, which is true. I don't. But it was always like a throwaway thing. And one of the creators that I had on, Rafael Flores Jr., who wrote The Return of Kamazats, was like, yeah, like I have Mayan ancestry, and it was important for me to like represent that heritage well. And it just like hit me of like, shit, I'm not representing my heritage well. And so I wanted to learn more about it. And fast forward, I submitted paperwork and an application for like official tribal recognition with the Abenaki tribe, which is where my great grandmother was full blooded of. And so I was like, hey, it's important to me to have one of our characters be at least Native American, if not like Abenaki specific. And he was like, cool. And then, so if you want to, I'll pass the ball back to you. If you want to talk about Mick.
Yeah, so Mick is one of the band members as well, and me being Latino and having Mayan and Linka ancestry, um, knowing that literally my ancestors fought the Spanish. They may have lost, but they fought to protect their lives. Mick is also a Latino character, so we've literally put ourselves in the book as friends in the band.
Hmm. Oh,
Yep.
I love
Yep. And it
that.
was super intentional and like very much like this needs to be front and center because like much to Raphael's point, like I need to represent my heritage better than I used to. And just the like, oh, I don't burn because Native American, and it's like, oh, well, I was in winter months, so like that's not even from the Abenaki tribe, like
It's
idiots.
like you want people to know you're Native American, but you're not willing to do the work to prove how Native American and how involved in your culture you are. So
Yeah.
you took those steps.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Took those steps, did a lot of research, did a lot of digging and talking to my dad, and he's talked to his cousin who's like 90 who still lives in New Hampshire, where a lot of the Abenaki tribe is, and there's like this big discourse I could go on. At this point, like I have learned all of these things about the history of the tribe, which are just fascinating. And it's been really neat to learn, just to be like, oh, this is where my family, we traced our family tree, and honestly it was my uncle who did the majority of the legwork, but he traced it all the way back to one of the settlers that came over on the Mayflower. Like he went all the way back, and I can tell you exactly, like we're related to Ernest Hemingway,
Oh,
which is
wow.
one of my dad's favorite writers. And he was like, hell yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, we're related. I was like, Dad, he's like 8 realms removed. He was like, I don't give a shit, son. I was like, okay. All right, Dad. Cool.
Oh, that's great.
I get it. We're related somehow to Abraham Lincoln, and my mom tells like everyone who's like who will listen. Well, we are related to Abraham Lincoln. And I'm like, Mom, stop. Most people are. Like, the family got around. Like, it's fine. Good
I
God.
wouldn't lie to you. You know, one of my relatives is Abraham. Got it, Mom. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and it's just like it's such a big badge of honor from our parents. It's like, is that gonna be us?
Yeah.
I hope not. I'm gonna make something up though, like
Be like,
something.
I'm published by Marvel.
I'm gonna say that, but I'm also gonna say I'm related to Kevin Feige and Chris Claremont. Like, I'm gonna make it
There you
weird.
go.
My
Yeah.
kids are gonna be like, what in the what?
But
My
but
family feuded with the Life Elves.
you
So
have though been published by Marvel. Like your
I have,
words are
yeah,
printed in their comics. So
and they don't tell you they're gonna do that.
that's
You
a fun
don't know.
surprise.
That's a very annoying surprise. Like, I'm grateful, but okay, I'm not going to the comic book store and looking through every one, and I
Ooh,
do comics
yeah,
every week for them. So
yeah.
it's like, did you pull any better ones though? Because let me know. Like, at least like a like here on Facebook and let me know. But whatever, it's fine, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's fine.
Such a such a like, you're complaining. Just calm down. Relax.
You're in Marvel, okay?
Yeah.
I get it though. Like I was asked for a pull quote and
Are you?
provided it, and it is printed on the back cover. And when I
Oh,
got that book
wow.
from the Kickstarter, I was like, this is the coolest. Like, I've hit the pinnacle. This is,
Yes.
what else can I do? And then I started making my own comics. And so
So
you
they
bet
reached
your
out to
Bibby I'm
you?
going to ask him. Yeah. Yeah,
So
for
they
that one
reached
he
out to
did.
you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Kickstarter, I do have a lot of people who watch this show that are just getting into comics who don't understand Kickstarter. Can you give them a brief breakdown of what it is, just so they can understand it a little bit?
She said brief, so okay, you got to take it.
Oh no, 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 no. You're far more versed. I'm still fighting for my email address with them.
That's true.
He's like, look, I just draw the feet. Like, calm down.
Yeah. Draw them real good. It's a thing.
So, okay, brief Kickstarter it's a way that creatives can list their projects and crowdfund so that they share their campaign. Like if you go to Kickstarter and you type in Barricade Brigade into their search bar, our comic will pull up, and you can hit the like back or pre if it's still in pre-launch. You can get notified for when it launches, and then you have a certain time frame that you, as the creator, set up ahead of time. So we set ours for 30 days. And so for 30 days, we have a goal of funding of $600. So we're trying to raise $600, which is going to cover publishing costs, shipping, materials. It's going to cover the taxes, the Kickstarter fees. It's going to cover all that stuff so that we don't have to spend $600 out of our pockets. Because again, we're punks. We don't have money. So we're raising the money. And instead of like going into a comic shop and saying, oh, there's a Phoenix book, I'm going to buy this Phoenix book, operator. Like, you're going to Kickstarter and you're saying, I believe in what you're doing. Here's money. I hope this comes to fruition. And if enough people do that and we hit our goal, then when the campaign ends, we submit the order. Kickstarter takes like 2 weeks to release funds to the creators. And so then we get the money that we raised during our 30-day run, and then we use that money to pay for printing, pay for shipping supplies, pay for stickers, pay the taxes, pay the fees, do all that stuff, and then we get the books shipped to us, and we're DIY, so we're doing everything ourselves. And so once we get the books, we're going to bag them, we're going to board them, we're going to line them with cardboard, and we're going to send them out the door to all of our backers. And so usually, like, fulfillment can vary. I've had some that are fulfilled where, like, I get the comic that I backed within like a month of the campaign closing. Some others take longer. Like, there's one that I've backed that it's been a year and a half, and they're still like finalizing some things on the book before they send it out. It just depends. Like, it depends on the creator. That was another intentional thing of like, I want to have the book 90% done before we ever even talk about Kickstarter, so that we're finishing everything else up during the campaign, so that as soon as it's done and we get the money, we can say, cool, order. And then it's just a matter of waiting on the printer to send it to us. So it's an easy way. And it's not just comics that are on Kickstarter. There's regular like prose books. There's tech gadgets. There's fancy like cable bags that you can get. There's all sorts of insane stuff that like indie creators and smarter people than me are making, these wild little devices or whatever. And so it like, they have it all broken out by genre. You can search for like soonest ending, closest to funding, not yet funded, already funded. So you can really customize what you're searching for as you're just spending some time with it. And honestly, I've walked a couple people through it. I'm more than happy to. So if anybody is curious about Kickstarter, like, seriously, send me a message on Instagram at LongboxPunk, and I would be happy to set up a call and walk you through it, because that's the lifeblood for indie creators. Like, that's how these people are living their dreams of making things. We just happen to be making comics because that's our dream. And so like, it takes that crowd to come together to say, yep, I believe in that. Here's some cash. I'll take the book, please. And it takes a lot of those people to hit goals. And then you also have a direct communication line with creatives. And I've seen some really cool stuff that creators are doing with like the after campaign surveys, which is then where you collect like the address or email address if you want digital, or mailing address if you want physical. I was drawn onto the back of a comic as like one of the rewards. That's super cool. I have it there, so if Chris covers something, I can grab it because it's right there. But there's a whole lot of stuff that you can do with campaigns, and like, because it's all indie, we can do whatever we want. So we're doing custom guitar picks. We're doing like, I'm not an artist. I'm doing my version of a cover that people can buy as like a variant cover of our book, and it's Chris's pencils with my like Sharpie marker punkified flair that I call it, where I just draw skulls on everything. That's really what it is.
I like your flair. I bought a shirt with it on it. It's
I know, yeah.
cool.
You have like a punkified shirt that I did.
Oh, damn it.
So,
I should have worn it today. I didn't think about it.
Unbelievable, Megan.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
you got to put the comic on a shirt. You have to put the front page on a shirt. I'll buy that so quick.
We have talked about doing like band merch.
Yeah.
So our band is called Hot Watermelon. Because
that's cool.
Admittedly, like, it was the name of a radio show I did in college. That I've always loved that name. And so he was like, yeah, we'll do a band and whatever. And I was like, I'm just going to go with it. We'll see what happens. And like, all the names that I wrote down, he was like, yeah, no, that's totally great. And everything worked out. The roadie's name is 5, like the number 5. And it's Sarah is the bassist / singer, and then Tolba is the Abenaki drummer, and which is Abenaki for turtle, because he has a turtle tattoo. And then Mick is the guitarist and other like front lead man vocalist. So that's our crew, our band of Hot Watermelon. Talk about something and I'll get that cover.
That's so cool. I like that a lot. So hot watermelon. Have you ever had hot watermelon?
In the summer, yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's not a bad time.
No.
Oh, you did get it.
There I am.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm. We're all flicking off the camera. This is a book from Jeff Schiller. Shout out to Jeff. It's called The Public Defender. Another guy that I had on my show, Gerald von Stoddard, did this cover art. But then, yeah, all of these people back here paid a little bit extra so that they could all be on the cover. And so there's
That's
a couple
so
faces
cute.
on here that I know. Some had like their original character, like somewhere is, yep, there's Pistol Shrimp, where it's like a Western about a shrimp.
Yeah.
And it's, so some had their characters and some had their people, and I just send in a picture, and that's not the first time that I've been drawn into a comic, because I'm like, yeah, I want to be in a comic. Let's
Yeah,
go.
who doesn't? Like, that's so personable. I love that.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up, what are a few thoughts you want to say about your comic? It got so quiet.
I'll let Kay have the last word,
Man.
because I'm on a roll.
You are on
And
a roll.
I know that he needs more time to come up with words than I do. I just start talking and figure out what I'm saying. If you like punk rock, like if at all, the DIY mindsets, if you've ever been to a small local show or a battle of the bands, if you've been in the crowd at a bar where your shoes are sticking to the floor, that's our comic. Like, that's where it starts. And that energy that you can't really describe, that you feel when you're at a local show and everybody's sweating and everything stinks and you're bumping into each other and you all have crushed cans of PBR in your hands because that's all you can afford. That's our comic. And
That's
like,
perfect.
we targeted corporate people because corporations are trying to wipe out the smaller everything, small venues, small bands, small businesses. And so we're really leaning into that. And so there's definitely like our ideologies that are in the book, but it's also just a fun book. Like it's I don't want it to be overly political because I don't like talking about politics. And so it's not. It's just a punk band that's going on tour, and they realize that they're part of something much bigger than just going on tour by the end of it. And that's our secret, super secret under wraps that we're not telling anybody about. So you just have to back it. Launches June 4th, and it's super affordable. It's super cheap, and it's like stupid how cheap we're making everything, because we're like, we might end up spending money to make this happen. But we just want to make it happen. So that's those are my thoughts.
That's beautiful. Chris with a K.
I'm gonna piggyback off that. And first off, I have to say this: this is one place where we are not same brain. I will gladly talk politics. I've had mall security circling me with my very conservative brother-in-law, going almost physically toe to toe. But Chris is spot on. This book is everything that punk rock should be, distilled into a more fun, palatable story that hits at all these ideologies that are just ingrained in us. And because of that, I feel like it's required for me to say that this book is for everyone and punk rock is for everyone, unless you're not for everyone. And that's just the bottom line.
Well, I love it. Well, that's beautiful. Well, thank you both so much for coming on here. This has been so much fun. I don't usually get to talk for a whole hour laughing my face off, but we did. So, where can I find both of you? And also, whoever is watching or listening to this episode, check the show notes, and I will have all the links to whatever these guys want for you to go follow them. That sentence made no sense, but you guys are picking up what I'm putting down.
Links and stuff.
Yeah,
links
the links and stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
All one word.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, links and stuff. That's how you find us. Honestly, like, I don't care that you follow me specifically. Like, just click the link for the campaign. That's all I can ask you to do. That's why we're here. That, like, it's about the book, and we want this book in as many hands as possible. So go to Kickstarter and back Barricade Brigade #0. And just keep in mind, like, we have Google Docs that are 20 pages long of just notes of what happens in this world and how it works. So this isn't the end of anything. We've barely even started. So
Nice. What about you, Chris, with a K?
You should follow Chris. He's amazing, and he
She
does one
is.
of two of my favorite podcasts, if I'm going to be honest. Um, and like truthfully, Chris was my introduction to truly indie comics too. So like me finding him on Threads was like that's why I'm here. So it's a big deal. Go follow him. He's great.
He is, and I'm gonna include your links anyways, even if
Yeah.
you say not to. Like
So
that's
haha.
bananas. Definitely check out his Wednesday live. It's always fun. It's always sweet. And even if it's like a heavier topic, he still delivers it with such grace and kindness. 100% do it. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Vigilante Vibes. Wherever you're listening to this episode, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my amazing guests like Chris and or any other future episode. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a marvelous night.